Hi, I am Kara Brown, and we're going to get the festivities started or the event started. And I am Sinclair faculty here at Sinclair Community College, and I am kind of the Sinclair contact as part of the committee that put this all together, along with the LGBT Center, Have a Gay Day, Gatlin Dame Group, and am I forgetting anybody? Oh, did I say Have a Gay Day? I'll say it twice. So thank you to all of our and Equitas. Oh, my own club, Bright Signal Alliance. So thank you for putting up with our slight delay there. I really appreciate all of you being here. Devin gave us time to get everything else sorted, so don't let him say that it's entirely his fault. But thank you, Devin. So a couple housekeeping things. Make sure that everybody has one of these cool little papers to get their car out of the garage, or else it will cost you $10. Aaron is the keeper of the papers, right? Yeah, there's Aaron. We'll get you one if you need one for each car, so you can get out free if you have a cool little paper. Other housekeeping, we do have snacks in the back. Please do not leave all the snacks here because I'm not allowed to eat them because I have too much. It'll be too much sugar. So please partake in the snacks. We don't want to take any home. Other stuff. Thank you for being here. We're back. 2020 was digital, right? It's so wonderful to have everybody here. We're here in person. I can see all of you. It's great. We all look like bank robbers, but it's great. So anyways, thank you for coming. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. We have some really great speakers tonight, and I am going to turn it over to Mel, who's going to take the mic.
Again, everyone, welcome to TDOR. My name is Mel. I am the Senior Gender Affirming Care Coordinator at Equitox Health, and it is my privilege to introduce the late Devin, because he's really late to everything he comes to. It's an honor for you guys to be here to see me and him in the same room at the same time. People think we're twins because we look so much alike. But Devin, he's going to be our host today, and so we're going to welcome him up.
How's everybody doing? So listen, I'm not sick, but I work outside. I've been down on a levee for about 2 weeks now, and this weather's awesome for things like your voice. So, so thanks, Mel. I appreciate you. So, yeah, people think we're twins, and I'll tell you, back in the 80s, they made a movie about twins, about the set of twins. And, well, Mel is shorter than I am, so I have to be the Arnold Schwarzenegger character, correct? That was the actor that took my part. And you got Danny DeVito. Well, if you drop something, you could pick it up pretty easy, right? On a chair. Listen, I thanks Mel, thanks Sinclair, Bright Signal Alliance, the Diversity Office for bringing us back and hosting this yet again this year. It has been 2 years since we have gathered. People that have been in the community and has seen me. I've been kind of absent the last year and a half probably. That won't stay that way, I promise. But things have been going on, and, we all live our lives, and sometimes I feel as if we have to revert inside and revert into ourselves, do some soul searching, see what we want to do in life, and see where we want to go. And, if you're not happy, you have to reevaluate things. So I appreciate Gage and the members of the Gatlin Dame group for stepping up and helping me be able to do that. not too many leaders or people that are ahead of organizations are able to do that. And I want you guys to know that I really appreciate you as a community. We are unique. We all have our quirks. Dayton has their quirks. One thing I don't miss about Dayton is the fire and police car and sirens. We moved out to the country a couple months ago, and I'm finding my peace, if that makes sense. So I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you thank you. We often say, we have said in the past many times, that we provide a safe space for everyone. And it's like what I said a couple years ago. I don't feel like there's any safe spaces anymore, you know? Because just about anywhere you go, you may or may not feel safe. And it's on an individual level, regardless of what environment you're in, right? So for me, I want to say that this is a brave place tonight. Again, safe spaces are non-existent to me anymore. So this is a brave place. This is somewhere where we can gather and stand here and say, hey, I'm part of this community, or hey, I'm an ally. You don't have to be part of the LGBTQIA community to be here tonight. Being an ally is that's something we all need. We as a community need allies. Without our allies, you know, we would not have advanced as far as we've gotten so far. You know, and there's certain people that in the Dayton community that make sure that everybody has a seat at the table, regardless of what project, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what it is or where it is. Always make sure that there's a place for everyone. And last year, I know that we're here to talk about the last 12 months. However, we didn't meet last year. It was all virtual, right? But last January, we lost a very, very dear friend of mine, and he was very important to our Dayton community, to the Ohio community, to the country's community. Jerry Malacote made sure that everyone had a place at the table, no matter what project he was on, no matter what. It didn't matter. If you walked in, he was there to help you. And Jerry was one of those people that would provide a brave place for absolutely anyone that needed it, for as long as they needed it. And I miss him dearly. And we've lost many community members over the last year and a half, 2 years. You know, it wasn't all due to COVID, but a good portion of it was. And COVID has made the world a different place. People wash their hands now. Let me tell you something. When you go into a men's restroom and they don't wash their hands, like you want to go and hit them upside the head and tell them to go back to the bathroom. But let me tell you something. COVID's done a lot of things. Washing hands. It's made us realize that we are here for a period of time. We're not here forever, unfortunately. It's taught us to love, right? And to be kind. With all the rest of the stuff that has swarmed over that, I feel that that's what I've gotten out of this whole entire situation. I feel that the earth, once it has been overtaken, if you will, by certain things, it comes back, and it takes its life back, right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that I believe that we got off track somewhere. We're all busy all the time. I am 100% guilty of that. I am busy all the time. But I will make time for anyone. And I think that the pandemic, that the hatred that was just spewed everywhere the last several years has made me reevaluate where I want to be, right? And I'll work hard, but I'll work hard for things that I want now, not for things that doesn't matter. I made a Facebook post this morning. And it says that I'm learning. I tell my guys all the time, we don't lose. We either win or we learn. And I tell you, I've learned a lot, but I'm still learning. School's never out. My dad's always told me, you're never out of school. You'll always continue to learn. And I'm like, Dad, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. I do not want to continue to go to school. The older I get, the more that I know that don't tell him this, but he's a very wise man. But I'm learning to set boundaries. I'm learning to say no. And it's okay to say no. And it's okay to have boundaries. And it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to not answer questions. And it's okay for whatever you are feeling, it's valid. And I just needed to reiterate that. Again, tonight we gather and we remember and we mourn and we grieve our brothers and sisters that we have been lost in the last year, right? You know, beautiful lives. Lives that mattered. Lives that counted. You know? It's all due to fear and hatred. You know? Anti-transgender violence is a real thing. Bullying is a real thing. Online bullying is a real thing. You know, we're here. The names that will be called a little bit later, I can tell you, are probably only a portion of the people that we've actually lost. You know, again, due to fear, due to religious things, due to their political things, it's due to things, right, that trans man could die and they could say that it was female, that person was female, even though we all know different. That family takes over, next of kin, right? So I'm not sure of the number. I think it's 45 this year, which is the absoluteliest, deadliest year on record for the transgender community. Murdered. Not suicide, not died. Murdered. Killed because they were transgender. I have a hard time with people that feel that way, but I feel as if I can reach out to that person or somebody and I can show them that we are human and that we live lives just like they do. It's the same, it's just different. We're all on a journey. We're all on a journey. It's our own journey. Now, we might be on journeys together, right? But we're still on our own journey. And I'll tell you what, we as a collective human race, are all going through something. Something. We're all going through something. We all struggle with something. It's the same. It's just different. Somebody could be struggling to come out, but on the other hand, somebody could be struggling with finances. Somebody could be struggling trying to find a job, which I don't understand why you would not be able to find a job right now, because everybody's hiring. But there's reasons for that. I do know. Mental illness is one. Right? And guess what? We all have some form of mental illness. I don't care what you say. There's something there. Because we go through things and we go through periods of time that are rough. But you know what? It allows us to enjoy that sunshine and those good parts of our life even better. There's a season for everything, right? And there's a reason for every season. Okay? I feel like I'm preaching. I'm so sorry. I don't know. I have feelings tonight. Sorry. But I feel as if I can educate anyone, just one of those people that don't understand, I feel like I've done something good today. And I'll tell you, we as a transgender community are very angry. They are angry too, but so are we. And if we all just take a step back and we're all kind and we all just smile, sometimes that's all it takes. We are not monsters, but here's the thing, they aren't either. They just don't understand. And I can tell you that. They don't understand us, just like we don't understand them. It's education, and it's bringing 2 points of view to be able to come together at the same table. My family is very diverse in politics and religion and everything, and I can tell you that if my 81-year-old mother can bring us all together, we all have the ability to sit down with anyone and have a conversation. Not a yelling match, not an angry argument, but a conversation. The human race as a whole has been through a rough few years. Anxiety and fear. I have anxiety and fear every day. Every day. And people look at me and they say, well, you pass. Okay. You have it easy. Do I? Do you know what goes through my head every day? I want to tell you that you're not alone. I go through things every day sometimes. Sometimes it's more than once a day. And you're not alone. Some people call me a lucky one. I don't feel lucky all the time. Now, if I'm at the casino and I'm winning, I am lucky. I haven't been to the casino, I promise. Yeah. He loves me. It's fine. Yeah. I hope that we're on that turning point to back to normal, right? Whatever that is. My dad's always told me that he was the one that was normal. It was everybody else that was weird. And I continue to tell him to this day that he is the one that is weird and everybody else is normal. But I apparently the apple doesn't fall very far. We have some speakers here tonight. I hope they're all here. And I just wanted to thank you guys again for being here before they come up. We're going to have some short speakers, and then we'll have our keynote speaker come up. The first speaker that we have is a student here at Sinclair, and that is Sky Burke.
Hello. He said, my name's Sky. I'm a student here at Sinclair. I've been at Sinclair for 3 years now. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm just going to very shortly tell you all my experience with family, which I realize is a tricky subject in this room, but trust me. And I will try to be just as articulate. So I personally, with family, and also, excuse the paper, I thought I would have something to set this on, and I don't. Me too. So I am lucky enough that I have, through my transition, at least one family member, or one parent and one set of grandparents who do support me and who do love me and have accepted me through my transition. It was not an easy start, I will tell you that. My dad was okay. He has some trans employees, so he had some basic understanding. Grandma, not so much. She had the flubbing pronoun. She would always tell me I don't look masculine enough for her to use the right pronouns until I started passing. And it was hard, but she tried her best, and we got there eventually. And when I got top surgery in January 2019, during that record-breaking cold weather, she was the one who was sitting next to me in the hospital. So it took a minute, and it was a transition for the both of us, but we got there. My mother, on the other hand, she made that choice not to transition with me. And that is a choice that we both have had to deal with the consequences of. And for reasons that are between me and my therapist, and I will not be going into, I left her house when I was about 13 or 14, moved in with my dad, never came back. So I have my reasons for not talking to her. She has a reason. She hasn't told them to me. But in the past 2 years, I maybe talked to her twice. And it's usually when she wants to send me a passive-aggressive birthday text, which she's really good at. So there's a whole list of reasons why I left. But the specific instance when I went, I cannot do this anymore. Enough is enough, is when we were in the car, and she called me by my dead name, laughed, corrected herself, and then went, "You know that's never going to happen, right?" And I was like, all right, I am done trying. I am done giving you chances. And when I tell you today, over 2-3 years later, when I am so happy in myself, I am so proud of where I have come, how far I have come. When I even forget what my dead name was half the time, that still hurts. Just thinking about it still hurts, and it probably meant nothing to her. But she is only my example in this story, because what I really want to focus on is my found family. Both friends that I have met online and my friends that I have met through Bright Signal. So I have 2 of my best friends. I met Ever and Noah. I met when me and Ever were teenagers. We met online, and they have been my biggest supports in finding out my trans identity, my queer identity, everything. They have been my biggest cheerleader. Ever was the first person I ever came out to, and I think I was the first person they came out to when they realized they were non-binary. And I love them so much that I moved out to Oregon for about 6 months just to live with them. Obviously, COVID messed that up because I'm back here, but it happened. And I'm lucky enough tonight that Noah is actually here with me. And I love you so incredibly much. It took about 3 years of online friendship and a pandemic, and they finally made the trek out all the way from Canada. So I love you. And while they supported me online, I had my friends in Bright Signal who, without them and without the support that I've gotten through Bright Signal, I would not have the courage to be standing up here and talking to you at all. I greatly appreciate you guys. And the most important thing with my found family is that while at least half of my biological family accepts me and they support me, my found family understands me, which is a key difference. For an example, when I told my grandma this year, at the beginning of the month, my mom had texted me for my birthday. It was very passive-aggressive. I'm not going to go into it, but it wasn't good. And then my grandma said something along the lines of, "Your mother's only human. You should give her a chance." And she didn't understand why that hurt. She didn't understand the numerous chances I've already given my mother and the ones that she has squandered. And I still don't think she understands, even though I told my grandma this. Noah, on the other hand, has frequently said that they would like to kick my mother's shins in and send them bees in the mail. I'm more inclined to go with that answer. So, the reason I wanted to share this today is for all those trans kids out there, for all those people with those queer identities who maybe relate to my story or have those family members that don't understand them, that don't accept them. I just want to tell you that I know how hard it is. I get it, and I see you. I know how much it hurts, and I see you. There's a room full of people here who sees you. But do not let that hurt stop you. You are beautiful. You are ethereal. You are incredible. And there are people out there who are going to love you heart and soul. There are people out there who are going to understand you more than you understand yourself. All you have to do is go out and you have to find them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sky. May I tell you, I've been there. I've been where you were at. I've been there. My mom came around. My sister came around. It took some pushing and some things, but I can tell you that you're right, you hang on to those moments. And even once they even accept you for who you are, you still think about that.
They forget, but you won't.
They forget, but you won't. That's correct. And, you know, it's not what you say to people that they remember. It's not the words, right? It's how you have made them feel, right? I'm guilty. I'm guilty of making other people feel not great, right? But I try, and I will give you some words of wisdom that somebody gave me is don't give up, don't tolerate, but don't give up. Okay? Thanks. I appreciated you and your story, probably more than you know. Our next speaker is a 35-year-old trans man. He lives in Yellow Springs with his wife and 6 kids. I have another one for you if you'd like one. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Gage is not for sale. No, I was kidding. He enjoys hiking and meditation and arts, and he volunteers with the trans youth over in Yellow Springs. And he hopes to provide an emotional and spiritual support to the LGBTQ community, Q+ community, through Imaginarium. Did I say that right? Imaginarium. I was close. I wasn't a good speller. It's a collaborative that he and some other great humans have got together with a purpose of bringing empowerment, education, and risk-free alternatives of healing to the Dayton community. So please give it up for Vance Boyer.
Hello. As Devin said, my name's Vance, and I'm from Yellow Springs. This looks like a lot, but I just had to put it in really big print so I could read it. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here with you guys tonight and share a little bit of my heart with you and a little bit of the things that have been going on. Tonight we have come together as a community to honor the lives of those that have been taken from us due to anti-transgender violence. And I especially want to remember the trans women of color who, despite the violence, they've pretty much led us in the movement. For all of us that are living in fear of our safety. And as we are here in solidarity, mourning each and every soul so they are not forgotten. We are being murdered at alarming rates, and one is way too many. As Devin said, globally, this has been the deadliest year for our siblings, and that is only a small fraction of what is reported. A lot of these tragedies, they stem from lack of education and knowledge from the community as a whole. And, we cannot continue to only be visible when we're no longer here. We must have conversations and advocate for the importance of all voices and all identities, and we need to do that now more than ever. We need community and our allies to stand alongside us and end this war of violence. The tragedy and crises our communities are facing need our full attention and collaboration. Through my journey, I have seen, heard, and felt firsthand what it's like to be a target of anti-transgender violence. I, as many of you, have spent most of my life fighting just to be myself, to be treated equally, and to keep my existence alive and not to be erased. We have been told that we are not valuable or deserving, and that we do not have a place where we are worthy of existence. And I believe that we have to continue to share our stories so that these parts of history are not being repeated. I do understand the ability to openly live as a trans man that passes as a privilege at times, and I do not take this for granted. Many of our family members in the community are unable to live as their authentic selves because of the misconceptions and violence against us. A lot of us do not have a loving, supportive community around them and live in fear of violence and loss. There are so many out there who cannot transition because they would lose their partner, their family, or their job. They feel maybe rejected by their church or their friends. Young people risk losing their home and their support system if they come out as trans, and they face bullying in their schools. Those of us who are able to proudly and outwardly identify as transgender still face many obstacles with being able to live as our true selves. It can be difficult to access the health care that we need. Legally, changing our name and gender can be costly and a lengthy process. And many entities still refuse to acknowledge us as ourselves until that process is completed. In January of this past year, I also lost someone that was very close to me. My sister and her fiance, he was a trans male. They were tragically taken in a car accident this year, and sadly, the news reported that 2 women had died, and they had identified him by his dead name. And so my wife and I contacted the news outlets and asked them to change the name and explain that this was already hurting our already grieving family. And one of the news sources changed his name, and the other told us that they would not change his name in the reports because that was not the name on his driver's license identity. And ironically, they were on their way home from the license bureau where he had just applied to have that completed. And his family also chose to use his dead name in his obituary. We need to work together as a community to be visible and to provide education about who we are and the struggles that we face. Hearts and minds can be changed when people can see that there are actual human beings behind what they view as a political issue. We need to come together so our brothers and sisters and all those in between know that they are not alone. And sometimes just knowing that there are others out there like us can give us the strength to hang on. Leila Alcorn challenged us to fix society. And it's up to us to provide that community that she needed. If you're feeling alone, please know that there are people who care and there are people who see you for you. Please get in touch with one of our local support groups here in Dayton, the Gatlin Dame Group or the Dayton LGBT Center. And another resource that I'm really excited to be a part of, which Devin talked about a little bit, that we are bringing to Dayton it's called the Imaginarium Collective. It is I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about it because it's going to be available hopefully soon. So we're an organization whose mission is to provide an integrative arts and wellness center that will address and represent underserved populations in our community, such as trans youth, and provide safe or brave and creative spaces for recovery, empowerment, and healing. We're a collective of wellness professionals, artists, musicians, healers, teachers, counselors, and creatives who have found our purpose in bringing empowerment, education, and risk-free alternatives to the healing to the Dayton community. And our collective understands that we must shine our lights so that we may illuminate others who are lost in the dark. We desire to provide service and mentorship programs that will grow leaders and caretakers of our beautiful city. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world and to be the light that shines the path for those who are just beginning their journey. The key to healing is community, and it is up to us to create it. If any of you are interested in checking out the collective or being a part of it, if you feel that you have some service that you feel you would be able to offer to the community, you can check us out at the www.rainbowcollaborative.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Vance. I have a lot of feelings tonight, and I'm really sorry, but again, you guys haven't seen me out and about in a year and a half, 2 years, and there's a reason. So there's a reason for every season, right? So I appreciate your words. The next person has called me, has texted me, has emailed me, and I hate to say that I have not responded at all. I've made Gage do it, and I apologize, Josh, but I'm okay today. So I'm still here. So a couple years ago, Dave Brake got a hold of me. I met Josh through something else that Jerry made me get into, which was fine. It's the LGBTQ Alliance. I mean, I like being there, don't get me wrong. And Jerry got me into a lot of things. But I met Josh through there, and, we asked if one of the youth from Daybreak would want to come and speak, and they just weren't comfortable, right? So they were welcome here tonight, even though they didn't feel comfortable speaking. I'm sure that Josh is going to tell you what Daybreak is if you don't already know. It is, one of our resources here in town. But I was excited when he contacted me because they were making a place just for us, right? So I was there. I was there at the beginning, and I was there at the first meeting, and I think I came maybe a couple times and hit or miss, and, you might start seeing me a little bit more. I might just start bringing you kids or something. Vance has got like 6. I'm sure he wants a break sometime, no, I'm just kidding. But it is. I'm very honored tonight to be able to introduce Josh Eglin, which is also with Daybreak, and to speak for David's Place.
So I'm going to follow suit with everyone else this evening. I have some scripted words that I'm going to read, and I want to apologize in advance, but explain also that as I'm getting older, I'm recognizing that this myth we're taught when we're young, that as we get older, the armor gets stronger and we become more, upstanding on the outside. It's actually the opposite. I find that I get softer the older I get, and I am more quick to cry at commercials and just about any little thing. So this is as much for me to keep my focus tonight as it is for anything else. So I just want to apologize in advance for the scripted words. And I want to say thank you, Devin, for the very kind words. I know that you've just been such an inspiration in my work. So it's so good to see you. I want to thank you all for being here tonight to join in this community gathering of remembrance. My name is Josh Eglin. My pronouns are he, him, his, and it is an honor to be given an opportunity to speak at this special occasion. Remembrance is a twofold arrangement. On the one hand, it is an act of stillness, a reflection on the voices who have been silenced and the lives that have been cut short. On the other hand, it is an opportunity, an invitation to be purposeful in writing a better narrative, to educate our friends and our family members, to advocate for inclusion, to empower each other and ourselves to take part in actively creating a better and a safer future. This evening, I'm both here as a proud member of our local LGBTQ+ community, as well as a representative for an extraordinary program that I've had the privilege to be involved in this past 2 years. The program is called David's Place, an LGBTQ+ safe haven. In April of this year, our program had its soft opening. Since our opening, David's Place has served 139 individuals in need of emergency housing, mental health, linkage to care, and coordination of gender-affirming services in the Miami Valley. Our drop-in center is operational 5 or more days a week, with a monthly program schedule that features recreational groups and outings, meal groups, community support groups, and individual supportive services for those aged 15 to 24. David's Place is a point of entry for supportive services at Daybreak, including emergency shelter, transitional housing, supported employment, therapeutic counseling, and aftercare services. David's Place also features a laundry facility with walk-in access throughout the week, gender-neutral bathroom and shower facilities, a culture and gender-inclusive hygiene pantry, and an all-ages, all-inclusive resource library. This special program was developed in memory of David Moudry, a young gay man from Montgomery County who passed away 2 years ago at the premature age of 23. David's dream was to one day operate a resource center for LGBTQ+ youth in need of community support, and it was his loving parents, Sandy and Ole Moudry, who persevered in bringing this vision to life right here in Dayton. With the generous support of the Dayton Foundation, the Adamus Network, Dayton Children's Hospital, PFLAG Dayton, Montgomery County Public Health, the Dayton Metro Library, and individual contributions from many community stakeholders, David's Place achieved its startup fundraising goal this July. We held our formal grand opening this past month, just in time for LGBTQ+ Her/History Month. 2 years ago, I was in the audience for the last in-person TDOR event here at Sinclair. Hardly a day goes by that I don't think back to that event and the inspiring words of Alexandra Billings. Her powerful message of solidarity and resilience was capped by a prescient piece of advice. Never forget that we're all of us just making this up as we go along. As we have all lived through the trials and tribulations of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, I am sure we've each of us had moments of this realization, that no amount of preparation can, of itself, suffice to prepare for the unanticipated challenges life deals out to us. In times like these, the true meaning of community can sometimes appear at its clearest. A feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common goals. Today we are gathered because we all share in a common goal to live in a world where transgender, agender, non-binary, and gender-fluid individuals are seen, understood, and respected in their fullness and in their brilliance. We are gathered to participate in the act of remembrance, and through this act, to participate in the unfolding of a better, stronger, and more inclusive narrative. On behalf of David's Place and Daybreak Dayton, I want to thank all the organizers, all the hosts, and speakers for this special occasion, and I wish to close with a commitment to ensure that no young person in our community goes without the essential support, attention, and coordination of care they may need to proudly assert their place in this narrative we are creating together. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. You know, believe it or not, Josh, I think that you do, in my opinion, you influence more people than what you realize. Because you said it was 130? Is that correct? That's amazing. Like, that's amazing. Like that, I got like warm bit a little bit in my heart right there, right? Warm fuzzy feeling, right? It's true, we get a little softer as we get older. That's why grandkids have such a great time with the grandparents. Don't let anybody lie to you. But that's amazing. And what you have created, you know, is just, it's awesome. And I hope that it can spread throughout the country, because it's not just the Dayton community that needs it, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. 130 kids. If you would have told me 2 years ago that you would have seen 130 kids in that short amount of time, I'd say, maybe. You know, how do you put a number on that when, you know, but nope. Feel it, been there, done that, right? And awesome. You are doing awesome work, and don't ever give up. So if you ever need to lean on any of us, I'm sure that any of us would be willing to volunteer and help and do whatever we need to do, because the youth is our future, right? So, thank you. And you're right, we're all just making it up as we go. I heard a song today. Listen, I'm a little country, I'm sorry. There was some song that said it's not about the dates, it's about the dash in between, right? It's true. And I thought about that. Don't ask me why, because I drive for hours in silence, because that's what I do. But I thought about that dash, and I was like, you know, that's like everybody's journey. Like, all right, here's the start date, and then we start going, and even though it's like a little itty-bitty dash, to be quite honest with you, it's a really long one. It's all in perspective, right? So, yeah. I wish there was a book, a manual for what we're supposed to do to get through things. It doesn't exist. Just in case you were wondering. It says that our friends at Equality Ohio could not be here, but they had a short video.
Did you know that over 250 anti-LGBTQ laws were introduced in the US this year? The vast majority of these bills being targeted at transgender and non-binary Americans. So currently in the state of Ohio, LGBTQ people aren't protected under current Ohio law when it comes to discrimination in public accommodations, housing, credit, or really anywhere that matters. But we do currently have a bill called the Ohio Fairness Act. You may have heard of it. And this bill would provide this protection statewide to Ohioans. And it does this using language from a court case that was decided in 2020 called Bostock versus Clayton County. Long story short, this court case basically says that the word sex in law always means sexual orientation and gender identity. So, by interpreting the Ohio Revised Code with this language, we can basically ban discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. If this year has taught us anything, it's that the fight for our rights isn't over. Even in 2021, we need your support. Lawmakers actually really care about what you have to say. Your voice definitely matters in this situation. Yay! We hear lots of negative things about trans kids in sports.
So we're asking you to help us show support for trans kids in Ohio.
We're asking Ohioans like you to submit a video up to a minute long supporting transgender youth in athletics.
It could be a story about your own experience with youth sports and why it mattered to you, or it can just be a general statement of support.
I'm so bad at soccer that I literally can't even believe that they let me play for 2 seasons in high school. And the only reason why I joined the high school team in the first place is because my friend from middle school told me I should join with her. She never showed up, so that I was stuck on the soccer team by myself. And that just didn't end well. But you know what that experience taught me about just life? It taught me that sometimes we're just really bad at things. And I was terrible. And I think that was good for me. It also taught me the basics of how to work out, which honestly I still use today. But you know who else deserves to be terrible at soccer? Transgender kids. Transgender kids are just kids. They should be able to fail at soccer just like all of their peers. And when we exclude trans athletes from sports, we're denying them real, basic childhood experiences that everyone should have. Ohio kids should be allowed to play sports, no matter who they are. Tell Ohio lawmakers that you believe that Ohio kids should be able to play sports.
Tell lawmakers Ohio can play.
– 2021 has been a deadly year for trans and non-binary people all over the country. And even though 2021 isn't even over, 45 transgender or non-binary people have been killed, including a number of cases in Ohio. To make matters worse, in the state of Ohio, we're currently dealing with a number of anti-trans bills. HB 454 is Ohio's affirming medical care ban for minors, and HB 61 and SB 132 are Ohio's anti-trans sports bans. Not to mention, all around the state, there have just been upticks of complaints at school boards and specific school districts. So this Trans Week of Visibility, we need you, our allies in the state of Ohio, to get involved. And there are actually a number of ways that you can help. First, you can submit testimony on both the ban for affirming care for minors and the anti-trans sports bill using the link in our bio. Using your stories, we can absolutely stop these bills from being passed. Then there's simply paying attention to what's happening in your community. There's a lot of anti-trans rhetoric going around in various localities and school board races. Keeping track of these and making sure that the transgender people in your communities know that you're an ally and showing up at these events is a key part to supporting the trans community wherever you live. You can also show support by donating to trans-led organizations like Trans Ohio. And lastly, being a good ally means that you're willing to listen to what the community needs. Listening to your transgender friends, colleagues, and family members goes a long way, especially in a year that is as violent as this one. So, to all my trans and non-binary friends, we see you. Happy Transgender Awareness Week from Equality Ohio.
We're on to reading the names, and if the people that are going to read names would like to come up, again, the amount of names that we have to read and light a candle for this year is unprecedented. And my only hope is that this will be the last year that we have to do this. That's my hope. I try to be optimistic, right? And the names that will be called think about not only that person that lost their lives, think about the people that lost them. Because, let's be honest, we are here to mourn them, to grieve them, to honor them, but this isn't for them, it's for us. It's for education, it's for awareness. It's what a funeral is. It's what a celebration of life is. It's not the people that have passed, but it's for the people that's still living, because we need it. We need that human touch. We need to know that their life absolutely meant something. So for any one of these names, which I don't know, but if any one of them did not have a celebration of life, did not have a gathering to just honor them because they had nobody to stand there or nobody to pay for it or whatever. I didn't know that worked. Sorry. I would like for this tonight to represent that. I have different views probably than a lot of people. Again, I'm unique. But I feel that just because they've passed this life, that doesn't mean that they're not still here with us and on our journeys with us as well. So I feel like all across the country, we are having celebrations. We're having events, mourning, grieving, honoring their lives because they matter. And yes, transgender women of color are the most marginalized group of individuals there are. I hold that hope that one day it's going to be different. I hope it will, and I hope that it gets there, because I will continue to work and do whatever I need to do to help with that. So if the people that are reading the names, if they could come forward, please.
Courtney Ashe Key. Jaheim Bella Pugh. Kimberly Patricia Cope. Kimberly Susan File. Tiana Alexander. Samuel Valentin. Natasha Kiana. Jenna Frank. Jeffrey J.J. Bright.
Jasmine Kennedy. 50 Bendis. Gina Carrillo. Dominique Jackson. Benair Bonnie Black. Bianca Muffin Vance. Alexis Kimmy Icon Braxton. Alexandria Winchester. Diamond Kyrie Sanders. Rihanna Pardo. Jada Peterson.
Dominique Luscious. Remy Fennel. Tiara Banks. Natalie Smut. Iris Santos. Tiffany Thomas. Carrie Washington. Jahira De Alto. Whispering Wind Bear Spirit. Sophie Vasquez.
Dinkia Danny Henson. Serenity Hollis. Oliver Ollie Taylor. Thomas Harden. Poe Black. E.J. Boykin. Adeline Evans.
Taya Ashton. Shai Vanderpump. Tiara Marie Lewis. Coco Chanel Wortham. Pooh Johnson. Josiah Monet. Brianna Hamilton. Kier Lapri Cartier. Mel Groves. Royal Poetical Stars. Zoella Zoe Rose Martinez. Joe Acker. Jesse Hart. Reiki Otumoro, and their other name is True Starlight. I guess I'll make the announcement and let Devin have a moment to come up here. As it says there, we didn't read all of the names for everyone that we lost. These are just the names in the United States. There are many, many more lost internationally, and many that we may not even know about. So we will remember them all.
Is that better? Can you see me now? Now that everybody's settled back down, almost, I'd actually like to take a moment of silence for us to remember everyone that we have lost this past year. Thank you. Seeing the names and seeing their picture, I haven't paid attention last year and a half. I've realized that I knew more than what I thought. Gage and I travel throughout the country. We have for several years, and I haven't been able, so just to let you know, I haven't been able to get on my Devin Dane page in several months. I broke my phone, and it's still broken, sitting in my truck. It was a sign for me. So if anybody's tried to get a hold of me, and I have not responded, it's not because I'm ignoring you, like Josh. It's because I do not know that you're trying to get a hold of me. And there was quite a few of those names that I was friends with on Facebook. And I can tell you that there was more than one that I have met in person. And I don't want you to give up. And if you need some words of encouragement to not give up, you call me. I'll give you my new number. Listen, I started a new Facebook page, but I'm hardly ever on it. If you need it, go find Gage. You'll find it, I'm sure. I'm not hiding. If you need someone, you call someone, because we care. We all care. I didn't read your bio. I just want you to know. Listen, we brought in a young man from Atlanta, Georgia, and I believe there was at least 3 or 4 names that had Atlanta, Georgia underneath their name that I just read. And I'm sure that you knew them. Maybe not all of them, but probably all of them. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. And our keynote speaker is Sebastian Smith. He is a national organizer at the National Center for Transgender Equality, and he is the vice president of the I Am Human Foundation. Sebastian is a black trans man, and if anyone has done any research, it's like taboo. There is a lot of white trans men that you can find, and there's not a lot of trans men that have felt comfortable enough to come out. So for you being here, sir, it means a lot. He's an advocate. He's a consultant. He's an organizer. Certified health educator, educator, and medical assistant. Done that for 15 years. And a major part of his roles involve participation in and the creation of community education, engagement, and mobilization projects, which is awesome. So, in my opinion, you are one of the, we talk about the people that have, paved the road for us. And I believe you are one of those people. And I appreciate that. I know more than that. It's just more than me in this room. And the doors that you have opened for people, will forever be felt. So it is my distinct honor to welcome Sebastian Smith.
I don't know who knew that I did not want to stand in this one spot behind this podium. So he knows everything. Thank you so much, because I did not want to stand in one spot behind a podium to make this speech. And yes, I do have it on my iPad, and I'm not going to apologize for that, but I do. But thank you so much for being here. And Devin, thank you so much for that introduction. It really warms my heart. We're here today to give out flowers and celebrate folks, but we want to start doing that beforehand, right? We want to start celebrating people, give them their flowers while they're still here to smell those flowers. My name is Sebastian Smith, as so many folks have said. My pronouns are he and him, and I'll even answer to King. What I've learned is that it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. I am here today from the traditional territory of the Muskogee Creek Peoples Nation. Now, what that is that's I'm sorry, I had to take a deep breath. What that is the uninvited land that I inhabit on, that I stand on in Atlanta, Georgia. It's the land of the Muskogee Creek people, and I invite us all to start doing land acknowledgments when we're speaking and we're doing engagement, because we cannot forget about our indigenous people as we're talking about marginalized folks too. So, as Devin and as it says on the program there, I am the national organizer at the National Center for Transgender Equality. It's a bunch of words to say I do a lot of mobilizing, a lot of education, a lot of getting community excited about what's happening, and particularly around policy and legislative work. As a labor of love, I volunteer my time with several community-based organizations. I am the executive director of Sebastian Smith Consulting, LLC, which focuses exclusively on diversity and inclusion competency training, cultural competency training as it relates to transgender and non-binary people in the workplace and at medical clinics. I'm sorry I'm so nervous. I feel like I'm among family and I should not be nervous. Right? Can I get a hand? Thank you so much. I am also on the board of directors for Black Trans Men, Inc. I am a part of Solutions Not Punishment Coalition, which is known as SNAPCO. I am also on the board of Lost and Found Youth, and I maintain several leadership roles in Black Trans Advocacy Coalition. I'm also the vice president of the I Am Human Foundation, which does amazing work advocating for houseless communities all across our nation, as well as providing positive visibility initiatives for Black trans people. I also, because I'm a man of many hats, I also hold a position as the co-chair of Flux Atlanta, which is a division of AIDS Healthcare Foundation. It's one of their affinity groups that solely focuses on raising the profile of trans and gender non-conforming people. So I do a lot of stuff, as you can see. I wear a lot of hats, and I am so extremely happy to be here with you all today. In all of these roles, my duties include community mobilization, engagement, and education around anti-trans legislation, I also do outreach projects, policy changes. I actively advocate for trans rights through bills like the Equality Act. Everybody should know what the Equality Act is. If you don't, we can have a sidebar conversation, but I can also get you connected with your senator this evening if we need to call our senators around the Equality Act. Also, bills like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Any LGBTQ plus policy changes at the highest and the lowest levels of government. A major part of my role is also to plan and participate in community outreach projects for the United States Trans Survey. I could not be here today without talking about the USTS. The USTS is one of the largest trans surveys of its kind that has been successfully completed and is still being used as a reference today for many community members and scholars alike. Due to the pandemic, as we've been talking about so much tonight, just like many other things, the USTS has been delayed. But I am so excited, and I hope you all are excited as well, to announce that the USTS is coming back in February of 2022. Yes, yes. Can I get a hand clap for that? Yes, yes. For those that don't know, again, the USTS is one of the largest, it's actually the largest trans survey of any kind. We had over 28,000 respondents back in 2015, and now we're going again to fill the study again in 2022, and we're hoping to throw those numbers out the roof, bust them through the roof, and get more trans and gender nonconforming folks in our priority populations to take the survey. Because why? This survey is what we use to go to our legislators and say, here's the problem. Let the numbers speak. We navigate so many systems in our lives, and we know sometimes we have to have proof. This survey is the proof. This survey shows the experiences of trans and non-binary people across all of our lived experiences, from our work lives, school, sports, healthcare, discrimination, all of those things. And we use the data from those studies, again, to affect policy change. So as of right now, today, tonight, you all can visit ustranssurvey.org and pledge to take the survey. That's if you're a transgender person or a non-binary person. That's what the study is. The survey is specifically targeting those folks. The pledge, and what it does, is why I want folks to pledge, it shows us who is pledging. There's demographic questions on there that shows us what demographic of trans and non-binary people are pledging, so we can identify who we're missing. If we don't have enough black respondents, then we're gonna go to the black community and target outreach there. If we don't have enough indigenous respondents, we're gonna go in and target our indigenous folks. So that's the importance of pledging right now to take the survey when it comes out in February. The pledge will run from now all the way up until the end of January. So folks, again, if you identify as trans and non-binary, please do me a favor. My only payment for being here tonight is go and pledge and take the US Trans Survey. Now, again, I talked a lot about the survey. I wrote about it and did not read it, so we're gonna skip over that part. Now, we know our community can sometimes live in silos and in silence. So while the pandemic did affect us in many ways, let's be crystal clear. My community is used to being quarantined. Trans and non-binary people are used to being alone. The pandemic took away one of the only things most trans people have, and that's a sense of community, a sense of belonging to something. It is so unfortunate that my community's cries for help seems to always fall on deaf ears. Believe, listen, trust trans and non-binary people's accounts of their own lived experiences. We can only tell our own narratives. Again, I am so extremely humbled and excited to be here speaking today for many reasons. The Ohio Pride team and all the folks that worked to get me here, especially my brother Malachi, that worked to get me here, and everyone else has done an amazing job making sure to center the needs and experiences of black trans people who are indeed disproportionately affected by anti-trans violence. We saw that as we saw the faces and the names that came across the screen today. Now, I have something just a little bit of a switch to what some of the speakers said today. Not to say that I disagree, because I agree with everything that everyone said today. But I want to take our initiatives a little bit further and say that My plan is not to ever change hearts and minds. Not ever to change hearts and minds. You know why? I stand here as a human being, as a person who deserves every right as any other person does. Every right that any other human being does. So while you may not get this, you may not understand what being trans or non-binary is, what you will do is you will respect me. What you will do is you will respect my community. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to get it. It's not for you to get it. But what I do know is that I deserve the same rights. All trans and non-binary people deserve the same rights as any other human being on this earth. And that is my goal. Not for you to love me. I don't want your heart, because guess what? I want to break the narrative. I want to break the narrative. I want to dispel the narrative that no one loves us and no one understands us. Because sitting right here in this room tonight is plenty of people who love and care and respect and understand us. We have people that love us. I love, if no one else loves you, know that I do. Know that I do, right? We have genuine people, family, friends, and allies who respect, love, and care for us. And we are grateful. But again, make no mistake, love is not what we're in search for. We want, deserve respect, equal and equitable rights and laws to protect our community from being subjected to violence and to be able to live and thrive as any other human being. At the most basic level, we all, each and every one of us, are human beings. Once we agree from there, we should be able to also agree that none of us are exactly the same. I say it all the time, all the time. How boring would this world be if we were all the same? If each and every one of us existed the same? Diversity, whether we realize it or not, is the very thread that's been holding us together, y'all. It's that thing that keeps us wanting to know, learn, and connect more to different cultures and identities. It's that thing that non-Americans, you hear me? Non-Americans keep yearning for. This idea that America is a free country, that it's supposed to love and take care of the many diverse people that call this country home. But it's so disheartening to feel that there are American citizens and undocumented folks right here that do not actually get to enjoy those privileges or benefits that we've passed along as freedom, right? As we pass it along as what brings folks to America, to this nation, because we're so diverse. How ironic is it that this country claims to stand on diversity, but yet stigmatize and criminalize anyone who expresses themselves outside of the societal norm? The only way that this can be changed is by celebrating the diverse parts of our communities, being intentional allies. Did you hear me? Being intentional allies for each other and providing avenues for positive visibility. Now I'm going to go there. If I haven't went already, I'm going to continue to go. The past 4 years of the Trump administration were devastating for trans people. The administration pared down or eliminated many of the protections introduced by President Obama, by former President Obama, including policies on equal housing, safe schools, and healthcare non-discrimination. The 2021 legislative session was the most devastating for trans folks since 2015. And believe it or not, we're headed back. This year, lawmakers across more than half the states introduced at least 150 anti-trans bills. More than 75 of these targeted trans youth in sports and in healthcare. At least 20 bills were signed into law, including a staggering 7 anti-trans bills in Arkansas and 5 in Tennessee. Similar laws were passed in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. I hope y'all are seeing the trend here. Most of these bills were an outright attack on the very lives of our youth, our babies, our trans kids. So why, as a society, are we so clueless about the rates of self-harm and why they're so high among our LGBTQ plus youth? We have to ask ourselves, what are we going to do to protect not only ourselves, but our babies too? Right here in Ohio, HB 110, HB 110, House Bill 110 allows medical providers to legally refuse to treat a patient if the medical services violates their religious or moral beliefs. So I ask again, what and when and how, what are we going to do about these backdoor methods that are being used by our legislators that still dangerously discriminate against LGBTQ plus people? Because they don't always name us, but if you read into the legislation, it absolutely affects us. It is so very vital to the lives and existence of Black people to have conversation and open dialogue like these. Daily, our nation gets to view racism, discrimination, and violence that the Black community faces. The nation watches us battle through systems of oppression, white supremacy, and anti-Blackness without any plans for resolution or solutions to the specific issues each of our diverse parts of community endures. And if you're hearing these words and these phrases and they make you uncomfortable, well, good, because they should. Change starts at the end of your comfort zone. They should make you shake in your seat. Because as we're standing here right now, someone that looks like me, my skin color, is probably dying. So it should make you uncomfortable. Because without our white allies, it's going to continue to happen. So I'm holding y'all accountable. Trans and non-binary people are not a monolith. We are not all the same. Yet we all do suffer from the same injustices. We cannot continue to ignore the intersections of our community, nor those that are marginalized within the already marginalized community. Do not forget about the people who lie at the margins of the margins. BIPOC transgender people are becoming victims of violence at alarming rates. However, to no avail, the movement for equality for all Black people seems to not apply to those that are LGBTQ plus identified as well. While we are inundated with reports of violence and the murder of Black trans women, rightfully so, there is little to no mention of the issues that Black trans men face. Black trans men also share many of the same barriers cisgender Black men face and are victims of violence and self-harm at high rates as well. Black trans men are often silenced, not seen, respected, or affirmed in many spaces. This leads many of these men, like me, to experience depression, anxiety, and an overall sense of not being included in the fight for Black or trans rights. So I am beyond thankful to be a proud Black trans masculine voice speaking to you this evening. Despite these setbacks, because we cannot talk about the bad without the good, right? We want to talk about where we're going. Despite these setbacks, we are witnessing progress at the federal level. As of July 21st, the ACLU won its lawsuit against the state of Arkansas, which overturned the state's trans youth health ban. This same thing is happening in many other states where anti-trans or anti-LGBTQ plus bills have been passed into law. NCTE was at the forefront of the effort to push back against the administration's attempts to erase trans folks. We mobilized partners across the country to mount pressure campaigns, calling upon federal agencies to refrain from introducing discriminatory policies in housing, healthcare, education, military service, and other areas of life. 4 years of work ended with an enormous victory in the election of President Joe Biden, who has allied his administration with trans advocates across the country. Some of the changes we've seen in 2021 so far, the administration has ended the trans military ban, has expanded the Department of Veterans Affairs policies to include health care for trans veterans, and announced passport reforms that remove anti-trans barriers to include a gender X marker. So for those that do not know, you do not have to no longer send in your life story to get a passport that accurately reflects you. Yeah, that's a clapping moment. I agree. That's a clapping moment too, 100%. So you no longer have to do that. You can also now choose an X designator too on your passport as well. And this is for our non-binary and gender non-conforming family. Or if you just don't want nobody to know your gender, you could put an X on your passport now. All because of the work of some amazing advocates, not just NCTE, but amazing advocates all across the nation. The administration has also publicly been vocal of trans equality, has released statements often affirming the lived experience of trans people, and has most recently reinstated federal protections around non-discrimination in healthcare. This administration is also involved in state battles to combat anti-trans policies aimed at trans youth. So as the saying goes, we have come so far, yet we still have so far to go. This is why we need more support for trans and non-binary people and candidates to be involved and educated about political processes and laws to make sure we all understand our rights, including our right to vote. Transgender Day of Remembrance is a day to not only pay homage to the many trans women, trans men, and siblings we have lost and continue to lose over the years, but TDOR is also a day to celebrate our resilience, strength, and power to overcome discrimination, racism, transphobia, and the outright attack on our very lives. We still manage to persevere, show up, strive, fight, and survive, no matter the obstacles placed before us. So today is also rooted in resilience for many of us, especially for those of us who are Black, Indigenous people of color. The words ally and allyship are action words which require and describe tangible and change-making action taken on the behalf of what seems to be an invisible community. To our allies and the many, many people who love and care and support trans and non-binary people, please be intentional with your allyship. Continue to open more doors, provide more opportunities, provide more protection, and create affirming safe spaces for all people, but especially trans people, and even more specifically, BIPOC trans people. And before I'm ready to leave you today, I have to say again, I am holding each and every one of you accountable. I am holding you accountable for the safety of my community, our community, and for myself as well. Please know that our liberation is tied together. Our liberation is connected and it's intersectional. Therefore, if I'm not free, none of y'all are free. Until I have rights, none of y'all have rights. Please realize that our liberation is 100% connected. We all deserve a seat at the table of equality and liberation. And guess what? There's room for each and every one of us. So love on your trans and non-binary friends and family today. Don't wait. Love on them today, because none of us have tomorrow. None of us have tomorrow. Love on us today because we deserve it and we need it. Thank you all so much for having me here tonight and for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. And you are a man of many hats. Many hats. And you have a good message, and it's awesome. I want to, from everyone here, thank you for being here, even the people that could not be here tonight, because this is streaming. So, people that, don't feel safe to come out, they had the opportunity to hear you. So, thank you. Thank you for making the trip up here. You said some things that resonated with me, and I'm sure they resonated with everyone here. So, I do want to thank our sponsors for tonight. the Gatlin Dame Group, it's Have a Gay Day, it's PFLAG, Equitas Health, the Hope Collaborative Church, the Greater Dayton LGBT Center, Sinclair Community College, and Bright Signal. Before I go any further, there are two individuals here that started what is called Closet Transformations. I was going to say it backwards. I knew that was wrong. It's for anyone that needs clothing, or I'm assuming that you have binders, I'm assuming that you have all of that stuff. The two ladies that are sitting back there, they are our allies. They are two counselors that started a nonprofit organization specifically to provide clothing for the LGBT community. This means I've talked too much. Please get some refreshments. Bagel. We're good. Thank you all for being here.